What is up, everybody?
Oh, yo,
How we doing?
happy Tuesday.
Right.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy to see you. The week
Spring showed up in Chicago finally.
in May, in mid-May, right before Memorial.
Yeah, it took till June, but we actually have nice weather. We can like wake up and like open the door and actually not be freezing cold. Yeah, those are the bright things.
The iced coffee actually makes sense now, finally.
It does. And
Right.
you're right, negative 35, schools are closed down, buses are gelling up, and you know what? Still got my iced coffee in my hand. To each their own.
Oh, 100%. Hey, it'll be 100 degrees out and I'll still have my hot coffee. So,
And you know what? I'm fine with that. What's up, guys? This is going to be kind of an emotional one today because when you guys join in and we go into next week and ultimately restart the series, you're going to have a brand new theme. You guys are going to have a brand new understanding of where No Reps Left Behind came from, behind the five fatalities that we talk about, behind the sales reaper, right? That ultimately is responsible for why you guys are losing deals that you shouldn't have lost. And all of this is the bones, this is the framework of what we're doing to be able to help us discover and disqualify, right? Go into meetings and have good discovery meetings so we can understand is our time being spent in the right places. So as we tie this all together, this is the last time that you guys are going to see these slides. Because when you see them next time, it's going to tie into everything. It's going to make sense, make more sense, I should say, of why this is so important to your guys' sales process and why the 4D sales process is ultimately going to give you guys more time. It's going to get you a higher close ratio, and take you into that trusted advisor that's going to leave your clients actually happy to speak with you. It's true. It can happen. I've been there, right? I'm there. There's customers that'll call you up and just say, "Hey, I got an issue. Can you come help?" And it might not even be roofing related, but they trust you so much that you're going to help them solve their problem and not just go up there and be that commodity contractor that says, "No, not my roof. Call somebody else later." You get past that part and you start truly becoming a trusted advisor and you start truly getting into how they budget and they start using your reports for budgets and like the stuff's not fake. It's all real. It happens, right? And if you are part of that 1%, you know what I'm talking about to where you become that trusted advisor. So those are some cool things that we're going to be working through, and we're really going to be diving deeper into No Reps Left Behind, how it ties in, and a whole bunch of other fun stuff. So get started here in a couple minutes here. So everybody coming in, welcome, welcome. Number 9. And I didn't even get a chance really to join you last week, David. I was car
oh,
bound.
I know.
Yeah.
We-
So today, as you guys are rolling in and we get ready to start, we're going to be going through halftime. And to me, this is one of the most important things that can happen after you do your discovery, after you do your inspection, right? This is before you guys actually deliver the proposal. We got to be able to go in and inspect what we expect because we're all human. We all get caught up in conversations, right? And that's why we give you those 3 checkpoints. That's why we give you those questions, right? It's like, hey, these are the questions you should ask. It's going to get you deep in, but we miss them, right? David and I were together last week and we were going through it and we were doing halftime with each other. It's like, I didn't ask that question. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. And it's not that the deal was dead, it's that we still had work to do. And that's the coolest part about this is that when you guys understand the processes and the boxes that need to be checked, you can go back in, you can ask questions again, you can add value even post discovery or post um, um, diagnosis. Sorry, and get all that stuff. It's cool. So, David, anything you want to add into this, sir, before we start rolling?
Yeah. So, guys, it's like Chad always says, it's like, and we just can't stress this stuff enough, guys. Like, these are like, if there was ever the 10 commandments of commercial roofing sales, this would be one of them, and it would be very high on the list. As soon as you deliver the proposal, you have lost all your power. Chad talks about that all the time. And it can be painful sometimes, because especially when we have reps that are new to the program, we're going through and we're doing pipeline review, and they're like, well, hey, I've got this deal, you know, I've already delivered the proposal. Now they're pushing it up the ladder, and I don't know where it's at, and I can't get anybody to respond to me. What do I do? What do you do? You go talk to Dr. Emmett Brown, and you get in the time machine and you try to go back to when you actually had power in the relationship. Is really the only thing you can do. And we can try to give you some silver bullets and stuff, or some emails, but nothing's going to be a silver bullet. Now, if you lose all your power after you deliver the proposal, we cannot stress this enough. There's at no time in the relationship will you have more power than right before you deliver the proposal. Even during the discovery process, you will not have as much power as you do have in between discovery and the delivery of that proposal. And you need to leverage that power. And that's what halftime is all about. And we're going to teach you guys at the moment in the relationship, in the sales cycle, when you actually have the most power, how do you use that to your freaking benefit? You're leveraging the advantages that you have in the sales process to be able to have conversations that in the sales process, to be able to help people in the sales process create the outcomes ultimately that they want to be able to create in their lives and in their businesses. That's what this is all about. But the power dynamic is at the center of all of this. We want to make sure you guys are keeping that in the back of your mind as we're going through all of this, because that is the foundation of this entire session here, which to me, Chad, this is like probably my favorite session out of all of it. I mean, just halftime is unfreaking real. Just in terms of, you can create a game plan, you go play, but is there a better time than when you can look at what the defense is already doing to you and make adjustments right then and there? I mean, that's the easiest time. Yet the opportunity to leverage the most from the feedback and information that you're getting.
100%. So a couple different things. I always think it's in my head, like worst case scenario. And this is how I'm going to start this off. When the customer says, just email it to me, David. No, I get it. Yeah, I don't have time. I'm super busy this week, David. Just email it to me. What do you do?
Do it.
Do you email it? You guys have to go in and you guys have to be able to make sure that all of the work, the effort, the time, the energy, the money, everything that you put in together, if you guys are just going to email a proposal and hope, I mean, that's really the basis of your commission check. That's really the basis of what you're going to sell. You got to make sure that, again, the problem's big enough that the client's going to do something about it, and they're not going to commoditize you, which is checkbox 2, right? So we're going to be going through all of that stuff. So if you guys are listening to this and you're like, no, my clients, they just want an email. And there are some clients that you have long-term relationships with, that you're already a trusted advisor with, right? That you might have some different variances that go into it. But at the end of the day, we're talking about a new customer or a problem big enough that they need to solve it, right? Their pain level is massively high. They have to solve this, and they don't have resources yet. They're not going to spend the time to talk to you. There's something misaligned there. And that's what we're going to be going into today on in No Reps Left Behind, right? So if you guys are joining in, welcome. Appreciate everyone being a part of this. There's a super cool part to this that we're hitting this right now on the 21st of May, because you guys are coming to the end of your month. And if you've been a part of this, we're so big inside win the day to win the week, win the week to win the month. Guess what, guys? We're at the month. So you're approaching the end of the month. You're in the last part of the game, right? For your month game. And whatever needs to happen right now. And so it's a great point that we're going into halftime here, because at the end of the day, your customers have to have a problem big enough that they're going to do something about it. And they have to need external resources, which means they can't do it themselves, or they can't choose their current contractor, because if they could, you're not an option. right? Or you got to figure out what that gap is. And we'll go into that. But this is an amazing point. So I want you guys to be able to think about the opportunities that you have in your book of business right now. Think about the stuff that you think should close and ask yourself this question. Do you need to go through personally, yourself, you guys? Do you need to team up with someone and go through halftime? Do you need someone to be able to ask you these questions so you can answer it? And do you need someone who's just going to be that bearer of real news to be able to say, it doesn't sound right? So we'll go through that, and then as we get to the end of this, guys, I'll share some stuff that I do myself, that's detrimental to my sales side that I have to be aware of, and yeah, we'll go through that. So we'll run from there. So today we're going to be going through halftime. This is no reps left behind. I think this was a question we had inside here: is what skills must a great sales rep have? So the one thing I would like for you guys to do is ask questions through this entire thing. This is made to be interactive. We want you guys to be able to ask questions. If you're on Facebook, if you're on LinkedIn, different things like that, you can throw them in the chat. We can answer them post-meeting. But if you guys went to norepsleftbehind.com, signed up, and you're on Zoom right now, put the questions in the box, guys. And let's use some radical candor with each other. Let's be real. Hey, this doesn't seem real. My client says this. This never happens to me. Put it in the chat box. That's what we're here for. It's not made for us to be preaching something to you guys to go tell you what to do. And much like David said, it's not a silver bullet. Let's get real. Put some real stuff inside there so we can take something from this training, the next 60 minutes, right? Or 50 minutes at this point right now, that you guys are going to sit here. I want you guys to end and leave with something that you apply almost instantly that can make your sales process better. That's my goal. That's how I know that I fulfill for the time that we're going to spend together today. So my name is Chad Westbrook. I'm the founder of Sales Alignment. My background has been commercial roofing for pretty much my entire life, less of some back and forth in the construction industry, but that's where it's been. I've led some of the largest preventative maintenance contracts and initiatives throughout the entire United States. I'm well over $500 million in sales, and most of that comes from service. It comes from going in and finding customers that have a problem, right? Not big enough that they have to replace the roof, but big enough that they need their business to run right, big enough that they need their perception of reality to be safe, right? Maybe it's their tenants, maybe it's the $1 million lathe that they have inside their business. And that's ultimately what feeds into what we're going to be going through today and why halftime is so important to all of this. So that's who I am. That's my background. If you guys don't know David Bonney, you should. So I'll let you do your side, David.
Hey guys, most of you guys know me here, but for the new people, I've been in sales and sales leadership for about 17 years now. I've written 3 books now at this point, trying to get the systems that I've learned over the course of that 17 years out into the world. And the key thing to about my past is the companies that I was with, doubling the size of their business every single year was the minimum goal, if not more. So when you're in that type of environment where you have to literally double the size of your business just to meet your targets, not even exceed them, but to meet your targets, the amount of pressure that creates, one, is one thing, but the answers and the strategies that come out of it are another. So, I've been in the commercial roofing space for about 8 years now. And really, it was about 8 years ago that I decided to leave that world, take all of those strategies, take the way to build revenue teams, and bring it over to the typical business, not the business with private equity and Goldman Sachs and Bain Capital investing tens of millions of dollars into it, but the typical business. And commercial roofing was one of the core sectors and industries that I got started in. It was in that path that I met Chad, and the way that we gelled and the way that our synergies combined on how to be able to really grow service divisions. The synergy was super strong, so we started doing this, and that's what we're doing now on a daily and weekly basis. We're getting in and systematically helping salespeople grow their book of business. How do you hunt, grow more? How do you turn that into farming activities? How do you continue to reach the next rung of success? And this session here is going to be one of the most important in terms of the 17 years, at least, that I've been around and all the things that I figured out. This one will be at the very top of insights and secrets that we'll have for you.
Absolutely. So think about this, guys. Your world, I don't care what you sell. That's your number, right? Whatever your number was last year, whatever your goal is this year, so be it. Right there. That's what it is. And now I want you to double it or triple it. And that's what I expect. No exceptions, and or you're fired. That's the world that David came from. So this isn't just I've been in roofing my whole life. Hey, I've had some success. Listen to what I'm doing. You're taking all of my real world experience in the roofing industry, and then you're putting that together with ultimately a $1 billion sales process that's being rolled out there. When you have to double or triple or even more than that, the amount of sales that you guys bring in, this is not a work harder kind of thing. This is not a work longer kind of thing. This means
Right.
that you have to have a process that can be instantly scaled overnight. And you guys have to be able to know where to use your time because you can probably only work 22 hours before those 2 hours of sleep is not enough anymore. And then you start failing mentally, physically, and right in your job. That's not the world that I want for anybody. I want you guys to work smart, right? Work smarter, not harder. And that's what you're going to get from this. So there's such value to be able to have both of these things here. So again, use the chat, put your questions in, guys. Let's dive through this and let's get real on what's going to happen. One of the coolest things that I feel we have rolled out, and I'll probably say that about everything we do, everything's cool, is that you're providing a solution for a customer that knows very little about what they need. And think about that. I always say perception is reality. Your customer sees a stained ceiling tile. Your customer sees water on the floor, wherever it is. That's what he sees. He doesn't see what you guys see. He doesn't see 7 or 8 punctures up on the roof. He doesn't see blisters or open seams or curb corners that are open. He doesn't even know what that stuff is. They intend to find a solution to solve problems that's causing enough pain or disruption in their world that's keeping them from what they really want to do. It's that simple. Your customer does not wake up in the morning and want to meet with a roofer. They don't wake up inside the morning and want to buy some type of roofing service. That's not what they want to do. They need someone who's going to help them get back to reality, the reality that they want, more than likely not the one that they have. That's the really, really cool part about this, guys, is that this is not some type of crazy thing where you guys have to understand roofing and know ins and outs and been in it for 20 years and the different systems. That's not what you guys do. You guys help your customers achieve this. And it really is that simple, right? We do it through what we call and I guess before I jump into there, David, anything you want to add to this, sir?
I just, guys, you just have to remember this. Our solutions don't matter. Okay. If it's not rooted in a problem that they have, and that problem is not causing them pain and it's not keeping them from important outcomes, your proposal is a waste of everybody's time, which is now tying into this whole halftime thing, right? That's why the buyer's intent is there. If we haven't solidified these pieces, then what are we doing giving them a solution presentation? Why are we giving them a proposal if we haven't outlined this stuff? Just like Chad said, well, obviously, how do we do that? We do it through the 4D sales process, which we'll dive into a little bit more here as a recap.
So I'm going to nerd out on you guys for a second, and I'm going to put this into your world. If you are a roofing expert, you've been in the business for 20 years, what we're saying, this is the proposal that's sitting in your book of business right now that is installing a cricket where there's ponding water and the customer doesn't care because he has no problem. You see the ponding water. You see, oh my goodness, this needs to be fixed. You see the modified that's degranulizing and the plies that are showing and all this kind of different stuff. Like he has to do it. He has to do it because there's punctures all over the roof. There's open seams all over the roof. There's blisters all over the roof. He has to do it. Let me give you a little bit of a reality check. No, he doesn't. Because he doesn't have a problem. You have a problem. You have a problem with his roof. That's not his problem. He has no pain. His business is operating. He's making more profit than he ever has, and it is perfect inside. And it's not keeping him from anything important because he's doing exactly what he needs to do. So when we talk about halftime, We'll show you how to be able to correctly educate the customer, right? We always talk about that first question, but that's the other side of this, guys. Do you have proposals sitting in your book of business right now where there truly isn't a problem? You have a problem. You know a problem up on the roof. You have a problem with his roof, but he doesn't. And that's that wall of disconnect that we keep talking about. So what we have is a process that we call 4D, okay? 4D process. Again, straightforward, guys. We're just going to make this as simple as possible. Discovery, diagnosis, demonstration, and decision. 4Ds, okay? I'm going to break that apart. I'm going to tell you there's 3 that we need to focus on. First one is discovery. When you sit down with a customer, you should not be thinking about who you are, what you're going to say, what you can offer them, the solutions that are, or you see a stained ceiling tile and you're like, oh man, this guy's got roof leaks. I need to go. No, we're going to go in and see, does he even care? How long has that ceiling tile been there? Maybe the roofers fixed it a year ago and he never replaced the ceiling tile, right? We got to go in and we got to do good discovery. We got to figure out, is this problem big enough that he's going to do something about it? Does he have a contractor that he likes? Is it his brother? Is it his best friend? Is it the owner's brother? All those things are massive variables outside of the stained ceiling tile that you see. So we got to do good discovery, figure out what's going on. Once we understand what their perception of reality is, then we have to do our side. We got to go in and we got to diagnose the issue. Just like when you walk into a doctor's office, he's not going to look at you and instantly give you medicine. He's going to figure out what's going on. He's got to take blood pressure. He's got to understand your breathing. He's got to see, okay, what's going on? How long have you had headaches? What have you tried before that worked, right? Good discovery goes into good demonstration. Or I'm sorry, good discovery goes into good diagnosis. And the final part of that is demonstration. You want somebody, your customer wants somebody that they're confident that can solve their problem. That's why this entire healthcare side has referrals, because there are people who specialize inside doing great things. And they're great at it because they very, very have their, I say, drill into their niche. There are companies that are amazing at putting brand new 100 million square foot roofs on all year long. Cool, go, run with it, right? You're the million square foot roofer. That's great. But I'm going to tell you that million square foot roofer might not be amazing when it comes down to a Taco Bell or some type of small detail. That's where demonstration comes in. It allows you to be able to stay above, right? Be above the fold, be above all the noise of people just delivering proposals. And we do all of this, guys, for one reason: to be able to create clarity and confidence for our customer to make a decision. And listen, I'm not telling you that he's going to award it to you. I'm telling you that your customer needs to commit to make a decision, that they're going to buy something. We talk about the 5 fatalities. Timing is the biggest one, which means your customer does nothing. How long? Look in your opportunities in the month right now. What's your oldest opportunity? How long has that opportunity been out there? How long have you had a proposal to fix something that customer ultimately doesn't have a priority big enough to award it? Again, he's not awarding it to somebody else. He's just not doing it at all. We have to be able to make sure that the customer has clarity and confidence that they need to make a decision, that they need to move forward, and then everything else falls inside line. And when you can run through that 4D sales process, you guys will have more time. Okay. The one thing that you can't create more of, you guys will have more time to focus on the people that actually have problems big enough that they need to do something about it. Dave, you want to take us through halftime, sir?
Yeah. So halftime comes right in between discovery and diagnosis, and then our demonstration and decision. Okay. So this is literally right in between the 4Ds. Now, a couple of things on what we were just talking about. When it comes to the discovery process, guys, one of the things that we have to discover is who else cares about this. Okay. So as you're going through this process, if you're talking to the person that has the pain, but they don't have the authority to solve it, then you don't have the right information. So when we're talking about buyer's intent, our entire game plan is to make sure, and you guys have to make sure that you're actually running the plays that we're giving you. Because if you can understand that you're talking to the maintenance person that has to deal with this stuff and they have a ton of pain, but the boss or the board or whoever corporate doesn't want to spend the money on it, Well, how do you use that person in your discovery to be able to figure out, why should corporate care about this? Why should they want to spend money on this? Why should they budget this? You don't know, but I bet you the maintenance person is going to know a hell of a lot more than you do. And if you're not using that relationship, one, if you're not figuring it out, that's usually the biggest issue. But if you figure it out, then you have to be able to leverage the responsibility and authority through all of this to be able to drive it to a decision. And just like Chad said, if you drive somebody to a decision within this, you should know if they're going to close or not based on the checkpoints, if you have it solidified. And if they don't, it's because you either didn't get the information or you got misaligned on the information. Both are things that you can control. But if you get the information, guys, this should reduce the number of proposals to a certain point. It should either reduce the number of proposals that you guys are delivering, or it should eliminate the low quality proposals, because you start pushing back against them and you get people to be forthright about the first two checkpoints and whether or not they're actually going to take action against this because there's enough pain, or if they actually need a new vendor. Either way, this is the stuff that we have to be able to figure out before we get into the demonstration phase. You guys are trying to figure this out after, when you're trying to get them to make a decision. You see that third quarter? You guys are going into the fourth quarter when you have absolutely no power and you're already down by 25 points and you're trying to figure out how to win the game. It doesn't make any sense. The third quarter is when you got to come out after halftime. You smack them. You shouldn't be down by that much. You shouldn't be waiting that long. You should still be in position to be able to win the game every single time if it's possible, because you can't sell everybody. This halftime, right in between diagnosis and demo, when you guys have the most amount of power, is where you guys have got to get more active in every single one of your sales opportunities. Stop getting super active after you deliver the proposal, guys. You've already wasted time. Get active before that. Ask more questions of your colleagues, ask more questions of me and Chad, and get clear on the stuff that we're about to go through with you in regards of halftime and how to run it.
David, we need to create inside our new slides, we need to create story time with Chad because you guys are about to go into it. I'm going to break this down roofing style. I was in Colorado and we had an appointment for a building for a company that had some roof leaks. We went into the building and the first thing was very obvious. It was a grow house, right? So it was a cannabis grow house. Took us inside the back, showed us where the leak was from within the building. And I'm in discovery mode at this point right now. And I'm learning, right? They take us back. There's all these doors and rooms and all this kind of different stuff. And I'm asking them questions about, okay, talk to me about what's going on here. Where's the leak at? And they say, hey, have you seen the room that's down right now? I said, no, I haven't. So they take us into this room, and this room is solid white, lights everywhere. Half the drywall is ripped out, and there's fans everywhere inside this room. And I asked the question, because I don't assume in these conversations, okay? What are the fans for? Oh, the fans, that's to be able to dry everything out so we don't have any mold in the walls. Oh, why does that matter? Because if there's any mold on the walls, it could possibly get on the plants, and then it's not going to be passed by state inspection. Oh man, that sounds okay. That sounds like it's a pretty big deal. What happens if you don't pass? Oh, then we have to bring the plants back here and we got to put them through a UV treatment to be able to kill whatever spores or whatever on top of it. Oh, okay. No, that makes perfect sense. How long has this room been down? The room's been down for 2 weeks. Okay. And then what? I mean, with this room full, I mean, how much do you get out of a room? $250,000 with a 2-week turn, which means every 2 weeks they grow it, it gets out, they process it, all that stuff. So what I was able to do in that discovery meeting, okay, I'm not selling anything. I'm just asking questions. I'm trying to learn about their business. I'm trying to figure out what is the problem that's keeping them from the more important things that they have. Well, in this case, they had one room, which was worth $250,000, okay, that they had drywall ripped out of. So even if it didn't leak anymore, they still had drywall work. I mean, this thing was going to be down for weeks more. And that was part 1 on discovery. Cool, no problem. We go into part 2, diagnosis, right? That's us getting up on the roof. We get up on the roof, we look at it, and there is condensers everywhere, AC everywhere. I mean, it was a decent sized roof. We get up there, start looking at where it is. Roof's not in horrible condition. We can definitely reseam some of the EPDM stuff because everything's starting to peel up as it normally does on an older EPDM roof. And we got to the point where we're looking at it to be able to say, okay, what is the best choice based upon the problem that our customer has for us to become that trusted advisor? We're going to sit on the same side of the table as them, right? Now, could I have went up there and be able to sold $20,000, $30,000 in repairs? Yeah, I probably could have. But what I did is I went back and we had time. So we did the discovery, figured out monetarily, right? What's the worst thing that's going to happen if this isn't solved, which is happening right now, $250,000 inside this room every 2 weeks. And then we go back and I say, hey, I got a question for you guys. I know you asked about repairs, but the amount of money that you guys have lost with this room being down, it seems like this is a bigger issue than just fixing leaks right now, because if we have leaks that pop up in another part, like that's another $250,000. I mean, we're dealing with possibly $1 million problems. This roof to replace is probably about $300,000. It wasn't, and what I was doing is I was arming them ultimately with what's the best decision, right? What's the path are we going to go? Are we going to go down service or are we going to go down replacement? I know they asked for service, but understanding the magnitude of the problem that they have, I went back in at halftime, which means I did not show up and give them a replacement proposal and try to shift their entire mind. I had halftime with them, right? Hold on. I got a few more questions. Now that I've done my diagnosis, I have some more questions to be able to ask. I could have followed, did repairs, gave them a proposal, no problem, and I would have been back out there 1 month later for new leaks that popped up on another side. But I chose to go in and do halftime to be able to figure out, okay, what's the magnitude of this issue and what's the best thing that we can do for this customer? And I wanted to be able to tell you guys this story because so much changes once you do good discovery and figure out what their real problem is, what's their perception of reality. Once you get up on the roof and see what's going on, you're now in a position to be able to deliver a solution based upon your discovery and diagnosis, which it changed. 200% it changed from what they showed me to the magnitude of the cost to the cost of the replacement. Too many times I see sales reps show up when someone's like, yeah, I'd like to, I have a couple of leaks. Can you give me a quote? And all of a sudden a salesman shows up with a $300,000 roof replacement, which is completely different than what they asked for. And if you're talking about you want to screw up a sale, give them something they didn't ask for. Give them something that they don't even understand why they're getting it, or have the justification to understand the cost of it. That's the power of halftime, guys. There are so many things that can change, but if it doesn't make sense, if the problem's not big enough for them to do something about it, they're never going to do it. Right? So, David, I'll let you take from there, but I felt that is a perfect opportunity for me to be able to explain real-time scenario. It was probably a year and a half ago, of where I went in and we had to make sure that we were aligned, because this problem was much, much bigger than what they assumed it was. They wanted us just to be able to fix the roof leaks. You can do it. They didn't understand that they were losing $250,000 every 2 weeks.
Yep. All right. So how do we figure this out then, guys? Well, Chad went through the process. So if we go to the next slide, we've got, for discovery and diagnosis, we've got our sections, guys. We have 4 different core objectives that we're trying to get to in each section. And you either get to the point where you are convinced that they absolutely need to take action or not. Then you go through the next subset and you're convinced that they absolutely need a new vendor and they're going to have to go with a brand new vendor instead of utilizing their existing resources, or not. But what happens too often is we get into the sales conversation, and either because we're still not used to it, the prospect is throwing up a bunch of non-answers, a bunch of resistance, or we just make assumptions on the things that they're actually telling us. It creates all kinds of disconnect where they actually have not, in fact, created the first, past the first two checkpoints. Now we call them checkpoints because you don't pass them. They've got to pass each one of them, guys, if they're going to be qualified. And if they don't, you have to maintain leadership position. It is not your job to be an order taker. It is not your job to go deliver proposals to anybody that wants you to deliver a proposal to them. They're not your master, guys. You are the trusted advisor. You have to be in a position of authority. And if you're not in a position of authority, people are not going to buy from you. Well, the best way to be in a position of authority is to make sure that as you're going through the sales process, you are thoroughly trying to make sure that these two checkpoints are passed. Okay. Now, let's say we get through it. Okay. We get through discovery and diagnosis. We have the proposal set. Well, we don't just schedule it and go keep doing all the stuff that we're doing. And on the day when we need to deliver the proposal, we just show up and we go, okay, here you go, and see how it goes. That's not the way that we go about doing this. What we have to do is we want to go in and we want to examine the pain summary. What is the amount? What are the painful outcomes that they want to avoid? Just like Chad said, it's going to be loss of product. It'll be loss of productivity with their team. It'll be potentially loss of revenue if you're thinking about maybe storage units or hotels. You can consider that product or just revenue. Or it'll be a slip fall hazard and all of the issues that come with that. It'll be in and around something like that for the vast majority of cases. Okay. Now, if you're examining the pain summary, what you want to do is, and this is why we want you guys to get the scale. Okay, so let's say I'm talking to the person that Chad was referencing as an example. We go through, and this is a $250,000 problem every 2 weeks. If this happens multiple times, we're now talking about a $500,000 problem here that we're dealing with. And then I ask them, okay, well then, I mean, you guys have a lot of stuff going on in your company, Chad. I know everybody's got problems. How would you guys rate this in terms of urgency and priority as a business or as a leadership team or whatever on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most urgent problem, 1 being not a priority at all? And I'm going to ask it after I've now figured out that this is a $500,000 problem. Right. Well, if Chad comes through and he gives me a 6 or a 7, now what I have is dude, this is so painful. And then I've got a 6 or a 7 on their pain answer, on their scale. Let's go down to the next slide. When you compare both of those together, that gives you a huge insight. Well, I'm making an assumption now all of a sudden that this $500,000 problem is a big deal. But all of a sudden it's a 6 or a 7. What? Those two things can't exist. Right? So how do I take that juxtaposition and figure out, I screwed up. I got to create a game plan. Okay. Now on the other side of it, this is actually more common. You get a very surface level pain answer. And then if you ask the scale question, they're like, yeah, man, it's a 9. Okay.
Can I pause you?
High pain score, but a very surface level pain answer. Those don't add up either. Just like a $500,000 and a 6, a $500,000 problem with a 6 priority, those don't add up. Use those two to be able to figure out what the truth is. Go ahead.
So the part you said something insanely important, and I just want to touch on it. You cannot ask that priority question until the customer understands what is truly the larger issue. Because if you say, hey, how important is that stained ceiling tile? Or for example, this room right now, he's going to give you a surface answer. Once we've went through and I've truly put a measurable on it, that it's a $500,000, how big is that problem? Because your job is to be able to help them understand that issue, right? The impact of that issue. And it's just not the cost of the proposal to fix it. It's the impact of the people, the product, the safety, all the stuff that we're going through. So you got to make sure that before you ask that question, there is a measurable to it. Because if not, you're going to get nothing but feelings. And feelings is not going to get you to where you need to be, because I hope that they feel that you're the right contractor. right? Much like David said, if you're going to go out there and you're just going to deliver a proposal, you're as good as your price. And that's not the world we want to live in. So, David, I just wanted to touch on that, sir.
Yeah, it's huge. And guys, this is why we say lead quality is more impacted by the salesperson than marketing or telemarketing. Right? Like when I was in sales, man, I would hear it all the time. Everybody else on my team, oh, these leads suck. These leads suck. What was my perspective after I had figured it out and I was at the top of the West Coast division? Give me those leads. Give them to me. I know what you're doing with them. I know you're building rapport. I know you're just feature preaching. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do proper discovery, proper diagnosis. I'm going to create the pain, or I'm going to surface the pain that's actually there that they want to continue to avoid. And by doing that, I am the cause of lead quality going up. You guys have so much more power than you guys realize. So much more power. And if you're going to become the rainmaker, if you're going to be at the top of the mountain, it's not going to be dependent on your lead sources, guys. It's dependent on your ability to be able to cultivate the pain and surface the pain within each prospect that you talk to. That's enough pain to get them to want to take action. That's the key. Those that can do that the best are the ones that will succeed the most. Okay. Now, again, with halftime, guys, if we've gone through and we've realized, holy crap, I'm not aligned. And one of the things that we like to do is we say, you got to go put it in front of a jury of your peers. Guys, you have teammates. For these ops, especially not for necessarily all of them, but for the ones that are important, you need to call and say, chat, okay, here's what I got, dude. Here's what they told me their pain was. Your teammate is now an unbiased, uninfluenced, um, uh, uh, person that can give you feedback on whether or not they believe, without all your thinking, all of your assumptions on whether or not they believe that person will actually need to take action. Call them, tell them, hey, this is what's going on. This is what they told me. Do you believe that they absolutely have to take action? And let them give you that feedback. Review it. But then from there, once you understand, okay, I don't necessarily have this, what are the questions that I need to ask? Okay, so let's, again, go back to the example Chad was giving. Chad comes to me and he tells, yeah, you know, these guys got to take action, man. The mold is getting in there and it's destroying their plants. Okay, so what? What do you mean? I mean, it's destroying their plants, dude. I mean, that sucks for them. Loss of product. Okay, how much product? A room? Okay, so is that a lot? I don't know. Well, how much is a room worth? Oh, I don't know. It's a good question. All right, let me write that down. Okay, when you guys lose a room worth of product, how much is that? Okay, how often do you turn these rooms around? Bam, next question. How often does this happen? Now you've got 3 probing questions. You've got a game plan to now say, I didn't get deep enough. And through the help of my teammate or multiple teammates, I saw that I was still too surface level. And what am I going to do? What I'm going to do is I'm going to reach back out to the prospect and I'm going to say, hey, Joe, I know we're meeting on Friday to deliver the proposal. I was thinking about you and I was talking to the team and I had a couple of quick questions for you. Do you have 5 minutes to hop on the phone? Remember, you always have the most power right before the proposal. If they're going to say yes, they're going to say yes then. They're not going to say yes after you deliver the proposal. Okay. Now, if they say no or they don't respond to you, on Friday, when I jump onto that proposal, I'm going to go into those questions. Hey, Joe, before I hop into the proposal, I was thinking about you, talking to the team about you. I just had a couple of clarifying questions. Is that okay? They're going to say yes. You have the power. And I'm going to go through it. So, hey, you said if mold gets in, it's going to kill product. Typically, you know, what's the cost of all the product that's in a specific room? Then you go through and you get all the answers, but you get the answers before you deliver the proposal. You get, oh man, this is about a $500,000 problem. So based on that, is this absolutely something that you guys need to take action on? Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Okay, bam, got it. Okay, but you leverage time in between clean, guys, and leverage the resources that you have to get outside of your own assumptions. Stop haphazardly working your deals and just thinking the things that you think are true in your mind and why they need to go are actually what your prospect is thinking, because most of the time it's not real. Sorry, go ahead, Chet.
No, you're fine. So I told you guys I would give you some of my shortcomings within this, and I will, because you have to be humble. That's the first thing. There was a lot of stuff that happened in the example that I gave you guys today because number one, the salesman and the service technician, which all showed up with us, only wanted to get on the roof. That's all they cared about. Yeah, no. Where's roof access? I was the one slowing this thing down. What room is down? Can we go look at it? No, it's over there. I know exactly. I've already marked it off. I've already walked it off. I didn't care about any of that, guys. I cared about getting the client to be able to talk to me about his world. Because here's one of my first shortcomings, and I think I hope, yeah, I think a lot of people are like me in this. They assume, oh no, yeah, no, that room was down. Yeah. And then I ask them the question, and I'm just being real here, and they give me an answer, and I instantly know that they didn't ask the client that question. They're answering it based off of their assumptions.
Well, I think,
Yeah.
Dad, right? Why,
Is this a big issue? Yeah, it's a big issue. Now, here's my question. Did you ask them if it's a big issue? That's completely different. Me saying it's a big issue versus your client saying it's a big issue. They have to say it, guys. I can't be any more direct about it. They have to say it. You have to be humble enough. I don't care if you know the industry. I don't care if you know everything about their business. You need to be the one that asks the questions to get them to say it. Because if they don't say it, it's not real. If they don't say it, they're not going to recognize it. How many times have we been in a conversation and we're saying something, we're like, oh, yeah, okay, now that I said it, I get it. That was wrong. And I'm not saying anybody's wrong, right? But it's saying it, it's understanding it, it's doing the math with them, right? This has been down for a month, and it's $250. This is $1 million, you guys. This is insane. You guys lost $1 million. I asked that question. I know the math. I know inside my head. I asked that question on purpose, guys. Yeah, I guess it has been $1 million. How big is this problem to you guys then? Like on a 1 through 10, how big is this problem to be able to get fixed? I'm there. Don't ever assume, even if you know, even if it's written on the wall, don't assume. Ask the question. Ask the question. It's the only thing I can tell you. If you don't ask the question, if you assume, if you're saying it, I don't care if you're telling me or telling David, wherever it is, ask the question. Customer has to say it. Doesn't say it, doesn't count. The other part of this is that when you bring somebody in, I love the fact David's going through like the peer accountability thing, right? Because even after David and I had some meetings together last week, we did discovery or we did halftime with each other. And he's like, I heard this. And I was like, I heard this. We were both in the same room, opposite sides of the table, but how he heard something was different than how I heard it. So if you have multiple people in a room, get back together. We need one solution, right, for this company. We got to understand, are we both on the same page? And if we're not, it's even a better reason to be able to have halftime and say, hey, me and Jim, we just want to confirm, right? Was it this or was it this? You have to have complete alignment with your customer, or the only thing that's going to happen is you guys are going to end up at two different ends, right? If you don't have good halftime, that's your one chance that you guys have to align everything before you sit down in front of your client and give them a solution to their problem or give them a roadmap to the goal they're trying to get to. Do not assume. Do not take the answer based upon what you think it is. That is a massive, massive area that I personally struggle with, and I find myself having to ask that question. If you guys haven't done the chasm assessment, right? That's one of my downfalls. I'm an advocate. I'm scared. Again, I say this humbly, right? I'm scared to ask questions like that because it creates conflict. It creates emotion. I would much rather be the person that's like high and mighty. I can fix all of that. But guess what? That does nothing for my customer. My customer doesn't understand what the true issue is. I'm failing at being a trusted advisor. Even though it's awkward for me, even though sometimes it's hard for me to ask those questions, I have to do it for the greater good of my customer and for the greater good that my customer is going to get a solution that actually solves their problem, not something that I assumed. And most of the time, that's what I see within sales is that it's assumed. And then you deliver, you sell the product that you think your customer needs, not the one that they actually need. And I'll shut up now, David. But those are some massive, massive parts that I struggle with, right? Based upon my personality, my type. Don't ever assume. Make sure that if you're doing halftime with someone, that they are not afraid to challenge you. They are not afraid to be able to ask you questions. And you, as an individual, have to be humble enough to say, I don't know. You have to be humble enough to be able to say, it's a good question. I'll go find that out. You have to be humble enough to be able to take feedback. There is no perfect salesman out there. David, I'll let you have it back, sir.
Hey guys, this is one of the reasons why I love commercial roofing, because guys, set a barometer. If it's, what is it, 7,500 or above, $10,000 or above on the service side, like you guys should have you guys have a few enough sales going through that can have a big impact on your month, that you should be able to analyze every single freaking one of them. You guys aren't expected to put through 40, 50 sales like my teams were back in the day. That's not this game. So your ability to be able to analyze these things are there. So now you've analyzed, okay, you figured out that they do need to take action. This is urgent enough. Go back up one for me, or two. Now we need to make sure that you're not going to lose this to the existing competition that they have, meaning a vendor that they've already been using, or their internal resources. Now it's either competition or price. Okay. You're not going to lose it because of timing, but now you're potentially going to lose it because of price or competition. And guys, of the 5 fatalities that are out there, we're at 3. You cannot ignore 3 of the 5 fatalities and think that you're going to have a high win rate. You just can't. So now we got to see they have to take action. It doesn't mean that they're going to take action with you or somebody new. The devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't know. These guys aren't responsive and they're late, but at least I know they're going to get the work done. I'm taking a chance of going with a new vendor, because what if they just don't do it at all? Or what if they completely screw it up? Okay. You guys have to remember that. So why are their existing resources not adequate to solve the problem? Why are they now talking to you? Okay. And if you haven't been able to figure out that there's enough of a gap between their existing resources and what they need to be able to solve their problem that they urgently now need to solve, checkpoint 1, we've already figured that out. If you have not been able to establish the gap, then you've got to go figure that out. You have to be able to pause. You have to be able to say, man, they're going to take action on this, but I could absolutely see them going back to their old vendor who they know is going to give them the low price on this thing. Why wouldn't they? Well, I don't know. I think they might see the value in my butt. Either they're like, why shouldn't they go to them? Because see the value is the third checkpoint. You need to cancel out the fact you need to raise their lack of confidence in their existing resources and cancel that out. But that's also why we look at the scale. I want to see, well, based on all that, like, if you're looking at Bob, the maintenance guy, if you're looking at Bob and his ability, like, how would you rate his ability to actually be able to solve the type of problem that we're talking about here on a scale of 1 to 10? He's a 2. Okay, great. But if they come through, I don't know, 7, 8. Oh, well, what are we doing? Okay, compare the answer to the scale and ask the scale question, guys. That's also a big deal. I know some of you guys aren't asking. I know. I'm always listening. I'm always there. I know you're not, but use the information. Ask the questions. Be from a point of authority. Be the trusted advisor. Get the information, and then do not continue the process until you're sure. They have to take action and they actually need a new solution, because we're wasting everybody's time here, especially internally, guys. We talk to a lot of companies and they're just spitting out proposals and they're just not closing. Why are we getting our team? Why are we having our team do all of this work for deals that aren't even qualified? Is essentially it. They're not qualified. We can't do that. Okay, we have to get better at this. We have to protect our resources. And I promise you guys, when you push back against them on this stuff and you hold that power that you have, which is the proposal, that's actually one of the best ways to get the information from them, from the most difficult prospect. Okay. Stop giving away your power on this stuff. Now, again, create a game plan. Go into it. Understand the questions that you want to ask. Again, guys, you should have 2 to 5 or 3 to 5 questions that you're ready to ask that allow you to probe and dig deeper based on the information that you already have. Hey, Chad, you said this and this. Tell me more about what's going on with this. Tell me more, no, and get in there. Okay. Now, once you've done that, once you've executed your game plan and you've established the 2 checkpoints, then you can go in and propose and give your proposal, guys. Okay. Now, here's what Chad and I are going to ask you guys to start doing. Instead of just using hope as a strategy and throwing proposals out there and praying and crossing your fingers that they're actually going to convert, start leaning in before you deliver the proposal. Guys, they're never going to get mad at you if you just say, God, I know you have more problems than just this. I just don't see if this is the biggest priority for you guys. And it's okay if it's not for them, right? You're being there for them. I don't have to give you a proposal. We don't have to have this conversation. I don't understand why you don't just keep using your existing roofer. We want a relationship. We don't want you just leaving us. Sounds like your existing roofer's fine. You just think that they've raised their prices a little bit and you want to price check them. Well, I can tell you prices have gone up. You're probably fine. You're with the right person, right? Start digging in and using these opportunities as a way to get better. You guys are just throwing away opportunities to get better. You're throwing away opportunities to dig. You're throwing away opportunities to be able to figure out whether or not your prospects are going to cross these 2 checkpoints because you just want to get a proposal over there and hope that they buy. And guys, if you're sales professionals, you're wasting the opportunity to be great. Yes, those are the stakes. You're wasting the opportunity to be great because you're hoping. You leverage the perfect sales week. You leverage the activity strategies that we've given you guys. You focus on the perfect buyer's journey. You're going to be fine. You need to start having more confidence in what you're doing because guess what? They're talking to us because they actually do have a problem, either that they want to solve now or that they want to avoid in the future, or a problem that's keeping them from achieving a goal. This is all the stuff that we talk about. They've already shown their hand. You can call their bluff. Show up more powerfully. Do the hard work to figure out with these different personalities that you're talking to. How do I probe and get in there? Still use this. This will put you in a position to get there. But then use the opportunity to probe and get deeper where you need to. You should be getting better every single day, every single week, every single month. And that's the journey of reaching the pinnacle. Practice, 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 guys. Practice. We did a we did a training session and it was funny. We gave a clear opening position for the sales rep to be able to take. And then we did a ride along with them. And sure enough, the salesperson fumbled the opening question and it set the tone for everything that went on after that. Okay. And we're human, guys. We're going to make mistakes, guys, but it shouldn't be because of a lack of effort. It shouldn't be because of a lack of practice. And we're all going to do it. We got out of a sales call. I was like, oh, I forgot to ask this question. I was like, God dang it, dude. It's all right. Let's go figure it out. Let's send them an email. Let's get them back on and we'll ask. We're all going to forget, guys, but it shouldn't be from a lack of effort and a lack of practice. Practice the stuff that we're giving you guys. You're going to show up as trusted advisors. You're going to show up as experts. You're going to show up like freaking rock stars, and you're going to get the information that you need to qualify these people, get them through before you ever deliver the proposal. And then once you do that, man, you guys will have people ready to take action, knowing that they need outside help, and they're going to pick you, especially if you're using our proposal strategies and you're using our tools for that. Bring us home, Chad.
No, we're right there, guys. So the biggest part is that if you guys have opportunities in your book of business right now that have not converted into a sale or dead, and I say that because that's the only 2 places they can go. So if your customer is committed to making a decision, That's the first thing, right? And then when I say that, do they have a problem big enough that they're actually going to do something about? Ask yourself that question. And if you're not sure, go do halftime. Pick a coworker, pick somebody that can be honest with you and go through on what you know about it. And if the only thing you can say is roofing related, they have leaks, right? The roof has tons of punctures and so they have open seams. You don't have anything to stand on. What's going on in the business? How does this affect their world? And is the problem big enough that they need to spend money on it? Is it keeping them from important things? So tying all of this together, guys, I know there's a lot of information, especially anybody coming new into this. So next week starts an entirely new series for us. It's 9 weeks, right? So we spend 9 weeks focusing on these things and diving deep into the business. And much like I said when we started this, next week is a completely new world. We have completely revamped slides that's going to tie us deeper into the 5 fatalities because that's ultimately the reason that your close ratio is the way it is, right? Your clients, it's timing. Your clients are not making a decision. They're not awarding it to anybody else. They're just not doing anything, which means you guys are investing time, energy, and money into it, and you're getting nothing in return. Let's figure that stuff out. Let's qualify that up front. And the other 4 fatalities that we'll go into are real, guys. They're true reasons that you guys are not winning jobs that you should be winning. And that's what we're going to start going into. That's where No Reps is going to give you that framework along with the checkpoints, and it's going to make you guys kick ass. So I can promise that because I've rolled it out. We're doing it. We're constantly doing it within companies, and there's so much that you guys can get. So I truly, truly appreciate you guys staying with us for, again, these 9 weeks. What I want from you guys is I want you to share this with somebody. Let's get more people in this. Let's get more people a part of this because that's my give back. That's my purpose here is to be able to raise the floor of the commercial roofing world, guys. So go take a piece of this, take as much as you guys can process, take it, go execute it, and go kick ass. I appreciate everyone's time, guys. Thank you.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
weekend.